Namaste and welcome to Tridevi Shimunda Mandir in Denver, Colorado. This is Yamajit, and I'm going to begin with a little reading. O God of all gods, that is Shiva, bearer of the trident, skullmala, and Kapala bowl, how can that supreme Shakti, the goddess Para, who descends all notions of time and space, be known to her devotees? How can we come to realize our oneness with the universe? In what way is the Supreme Paradevi said to be the secret pathway to the state of Bhairava, the highest reality? Can you explain in plain language the answers to these questions? So this is verse 23 from the Vijnana Bhairava Tantra. This is going to be the scriptural base for our meditation tonight, which is the Hamsa meditation. This is going to be another application of doing spinal breathing, Kriya Kundalini Pranayama, and incorporating mantra to go with the breath. Quick announcement before we go any further. So this coming Friday at 7 o'clock, either on YouTube or in person at our temple, 1260 South Xavier Street in Denver, Colorado. I'll be doing the next installment of our 64 Yogini series, and this will be Yogini number 6, the goddess Vritti. And so I'll be honoring her that evening. And I want to say namaste to Kim, who's joining right now, and anybody else who is tuning in at this point. And please feel free to say hello using the chat function on the bottom of your screen. So I'm going to continue with some reading. This is an excerpt from the third book of my Kali meditation series, available on Amazon Kindle. Book 3 is Daily Sadhanas to the oldest form of Kali is worshipped in the Kathmandu Valley. So I'm going to be mentioning 3 forms of female divinity, including 3 different forms of Mahakali. So in the Tantric tradition, dating back to the Trika lineage, this would be between the years 800 and 1300 of the Common Era, the most natural mantra which all humans practice on an average of 21,600 times a day is the simple function of breathing. The breath is the basis of all yoga. In asana, expansive moves are accompanied with an inhalation, contractive moves with an exhalation. In meditation, breathing practices or pranayama are employed in facilitating relaxation, in drawing awareness away from our day-to-day concerns and sensory stimulation, for withdrawing perception from without to within, and therefore altering our consciousness. Namaste to Jeff and also to CM, and welcome. So to read further on. So this is a chapter on pranayama exercise as based on the Vijnana Bhairava Tantra of the Trika lineage. Central to the Trika lineage are 3 forms of female divinity: the goddess Para in white, Para in red, and Apara in black. And they represent the functions of Icha Shakti, the power of will, Jnana Shakti, the power of knowledge, and Kriya Shakti, the power of action. So the Vijnana Bhairava Tantra is a scripture like many other tantric works. It is structured as a dialogue between the god Bhairava, this is Shiva in his more wrathful form, and Shakti, his consort, also known by the names of Parvati, Durga, Kali, or Bhairavi. The scripture begins with the Divine Mother asking Lord Bhairava a series of questions on the nature of divinity, reality, and spiritual practices. This is the structure of most tantric scriptures. Lord Bhairava, or Bhairab, responds with the answers in the manner of a guru, or perhaps a student sitting for an oral exam, with his consort being the true teacher. Just as we have the ability to act as her mouthpiece when allowing her presence to be felt, think of Lord Shiva's arousal as Ma Kali treads upon him. In this scripture, Lord Bhairab describes 112 meditation practices, all of which can be utilized by the sadhaka, that is the student practicing the sadhana or spiritual practice, depending on his or her individual needs. Each of these practices can be utilized as an achievement of a transcendental state and the union with the divine consciousness. The scripture culminates with a final meditation, Hamsa, which utilizes both breath and mantra toward uniting oneself with divine Shakti, that is energy or power. And if you look back on the recordings of broadcasts on this channel, you'll find a series on the meditations of the Vijnana Bhairava Tantra. And so I invite you to look back and just explore these different practices that I've already shared with you. So, verse 24 of this Tantra, the goddess Para reveals herself in the pause between in-breath and out-breath, thus between the two breaths, one experiences the infinite. So in this form of tantric breathing, the breath is divided into three parts: the inhalation, the exhalation, and the pauses in between. Verses 25 through 27 say, between the in-breath and the out-breath, between entering and leaving, it is that stillness between the extremes, Bhairava and Bhairavi, they reveal themselves. Relax the body as you breathe, let go of your mind, and perceive in your heart center where the supreme reality, Bhairava, resides. With complete inhalation and exhalation, when the breath movement stops on its own, thoughts of the self will disappear and the divine Shakti reveals herself. Verses 28 and 29 say, consider that divine Shakti as pure light, carried upwards through Sushumna, piercing the chakras by the energy of the breath. When it rests in Agnya chakra, the third eye, the supreme Bhairava awakens. The heart opens from chakra to chakra. Kundalini rushes upwards like a thunderbolt. Then Bhairava's glory manifests. So there's that raising and lowering of the energy upwards and downwards through Sushumna Nadi in concert with the breath. What we call Kriya Kundalini Pranayama, also called magnetizing the spine. Verse 31, focus on that place between your eyebrows. Free your mind from the thoughts of duality. Let the breath essence fill your entire form. So this is something else we did last week. We had our eyes closed. We focused our gaze upwards toward the third eye and focused on any light effect which was created in doing that. Verses 38 and 39, meditate on the natural sounds that surround you, like the continuous sound of a waterfall, or closing your ears with your fingers and listening to the natural sounds. Through that state of Brahman, or divinity, is attained. O goddess Bhairavi, sing Om, the mantra of Shiva and Shakti's union. Sing it slowly and consciously, and become one with the sound and merge into the void. So last week, as part of our Kriya Kundalini pranayama meditation, we silently repeated the mantra Om on the inhalation and the exhalation. And the pattern that we used in our particular practice, as we are inhaling, we are bringing cool energy down through the crown of the head, down the central channel, passing the chakras to the root chakra and the base of the spine and the perineum. On the exhale, a warm current of energy again at that central channel, piercing the chakras and exiting out through the crown. Verse 37, one should meditate either in the heart center or in the center between one's eyes. There's that pinealization again. There is a golden circle within which the yogi loses all sense of self and merges into supreme consciousness. There's that focusing on the third eye with your eyes closed while doing this meditation again. So now, as an introduction to the meditation we'll be doing tonight, I'm going to share verses 154 to 156, and this is the culminating meditation that is shared in this scripture. This is really the most accessible scripture of the ancient Trika lineage. Technically, it's an extinct lineage, but we see its influences in all the different branches of Shakta, that is goddess-based Hinduism. The breath flows in and out in a stable manner. The harmony of the breath, Kundalini Shakti, goddess energy, rises upwards. Beyond all things perceivable, the Divine Mother becomes the goal of the quest. Therefore, in deep meditation, Kundalini rises by the Divine Mother's grace, and the devotee gains supreme awareness. Exhale the mantra Sa, and inhale the mantra Ham. Thus, repeating the mantra Hamsa continuously. The breath is the ultimate mantra that one repeats 21,000 times each day. And throughout the night, it is the mantra of the great goddess. So I'm going to read a little bit more about the Soham meditation, and then I'm going to give you the opportunity to actually practice it. So the mantra Hamsa, sometimes it's reversed to Soham, roughly translates to I am here or I am that. It is similar in form to the Gurumukhi mantra Sat Nam that we find in the Kundalini Yoga tradition. As stated before, the mantra of breath is practiced 21,000 times each day. It sustains life and can be harnessed to access divine consciousness. The mantra inhalation Ham is associated with the Trika goddess Parapada, that's the red goddess of knowledge, or Bhadrakali Chamunda, that's the benevolent form of Kali in Nepal. The sound Sa is the exhalation embodied in the goddess Aparta, the dark goddess of the cremation grounds, also corresponding to Dakshin Kali and the Kalis of Nepal. In this act of breathing, there are brief pauses between inhalation and exhalation, points where the Shakti energy is concentrated, and these relate to the supreme goddess Para. And then I also equate this to the white form of Kali, known as Sveta Kali or Nardevi. According to the 20th century sage Ganesh Baba, who we talked about last week, and I'm going to share this just as a continued review of what we did last week, this practice and others relate to the sacred science of Kriya Yoga, which consists of four parts: posture, sitting with a straight spine. Pranayama, deep yogic breath while focusing on the movement of prana up and down the central channel of the spine. Pinealization, the eyes are closed, focused on the third eye. And pranavmentation, the use of mantra. The combined exercises in the previous, that I talked about last week, are related in the form of Kriya Yoga, what was taught by Ganesh Baba himself. Hamsa meditation is sometimes referred to as baby Kriya. For this reason, it is utilized as a spiritual / yogic practice unto itself, as well as a preparation for other Kriya practices as well. So in some Kriya Yoga initiations, Hamsa is the first form which is taught as a preparation for the main exercise, the main style of Kriya Yoga. I think in many ways the term baby Kriya is rather demeaning, not really very appropriate. I mean, this is the culminating practice in this great scripture, the Vijnana Bhairava Tantra, and it is a very powerful form of Kriya Yoga in its own right. In this technique, we become aware of three aspects of feminine divinity, resulting in the rediscovery of those same divine forces within ourselves. Through such awareness, we begin to channel the divine will through our thoughts, words, and actions, hence working in a co-creative role with the Divine Mother. This is the objective for and all other sadhanas. So let's go ahead and experience this meditation. And keep in mind that you can replay this broadcast anytime that you want if you want to go through it with guidance as you practice and learn this technique, especially if you want to incorporate it into your own practice. I should also mention that we're having this issue with YouTube. They've started putting commercials in some of my more popular videos. So by tomorrow afternoon, the same broadcast will also be shared in the Tridevi Chamunda Mandir Facebook page. So you can always find a commercial-free version of our practices there. So at this point, I invite you to find a comfortable seated position. Again, you're going to want the spine to be straight. It's like one vertebra stacked upon the other. You can sit on your mat or on a cushion. You can also sit in a straight back chair with your feet flat on the floor. Maybe roll the shoulders back to open the chest. Your hands should be resting comfortably in your lap. You can use one of the mudras that you're most comfortable with or that you like Gyam Mudra, the thumb touching the forefinger. You can do that if you wish. And so I invite you now to close your eyes. And let's just begin some deep, slow breathing. In and out through the nose. Using this to ground ourselves, to center ourselves. And to relax both our bodies and our minds. And I invite you to close your eyes. Continue to breathe. And then focus your gaze gently behind your closed eyes toward Agnya Chakra, the third eye. Just do it very gently without straining the eye muscles. And just focus on the third eye and notice the possible light visualizations that may occur with this. So you may see a circle of golden light, or perhaps a ring of golden light. Or something that comes to me very often is a dark, very dark blue inverted triangle surrounded by golden light. If you're having trouble with that, seeing that visualization literally, it's okay to use your imagination. It will eventually come to you with practice. And so take a moment and begin to visualize Sushumna Nadi running the length of your spinal cord. Imagine it as a silvery white tube, very thin like a straw. So I invite you to begin spinal breathing. As you inhale, feel the energy descending down through your central channel, through this nadi, through this central channel, Sushumna Nadi, from the crown chakra to the root. And then also, as you exhale, feel a warm current of energy moving upwards from the root through the crown. Let's do a few rounds of spinal breathing this way. Inhaling down, exhaling up, inhaling down, exhaling up, keeping the eyes closed, turned up slightly, focused upon the light effect, keeping the spine straight. Inhaling down, exhaling up, inhaling down, exhaling up. And now I invite you to inhale and mentally repeat the mantra Ham. As you inhale and bring that energy downwards. And then as you exhale, feeling that warm energy going up, I invite you to mentally repeat Sa. So again, we're repeating the mantras silently to ourselves. Inhale Ha, Ham. Exhale, Sa. Silently inhaling Ham. Silently exhaling Sa. So Ham down. Sa up. And like we did last week, let's just go ahead and practice this for the next 5 minutes. Inhaling downward, hum. Exhaling upward, sa. Inhale down, hum. Exhale up, sa. In, hum. Out, sa. So now I invite you to take a deep and clearing breath. Relax your gaze behind your closed eyes. Let your breath return to normal. And just take some time just to rest in stillness and silence. And as you remain just resting for the moment, I'm going to continue sharing some information from my book chapter. So remember, there are three components to our breath. There's the inhalation, hum, slight pause, just natural little pause, about 1 to 2 seconds, and then the exhale, sa, and then another pause, maybe 1 to 2 seconds before inhaling again. So I recommend practicing this meditation starting at about 5 minutes like we did, increasing as you become more comfortable to 10. and slowly increasing the time as your comfort level rises. You could do this 20 minutes, 30 minutes, 45 minutes, an hour. Though I find 20 minutes is really a good length of time to practice this and a lot of other meditations. Longer than this, and there's a tendency for one's awareness to drift away from the moment. When practicing Hamsa, you may also feel your breath slowing and entering what last week we called the breathless state. The breath ceases for a short time and one feels very deeply relaxed. And if this happens, this is just a powerful sign that the practice is being done correctly. You're entering that state, that very still, silent state called Turiya, or the God state. Really, it's one of the levels of samadhi. You are one with the divine. You are one at that moment with everything. That can also happen during the short silent meditation at the end. And even if you spend as little as just a few seconds to a minute in that state, there's still some wonderful things that can happen. And as you practice, your time in that state should increase. So in Hamsa meditation, the mantra Ham is for, as I mentioned before, Ma Para Para, the power of Jnana Shakti or knowledge. The mantra Sa is for the goddess Apara or Kriya Shakti, the power of action. The pauses in between associate themselves with Ma Para, the white goddess. And this is the power of Icha Shakti, or divine will. And as you do this practice, when pausing at the end of each phase of the breath, just allow yourself to be aware of the Divine Mother's presence in all of your surroundings, as well as in yourself. Typically, when you are exhaling, you're imagining the Divine Mother's presence around you, and inhaling, focusing on that presence within. There are many possible benefits to this practice in addition to increased relaxation and enhanced perceptions of the divine, especially the divine Mother Nature in all things. So this is the goal of tantric practice. And during this practice, you may also receive flashes of valuable insight during your meditation. And when off the mat, you may notice similar insights as well. And maybe noticing just subtle changes, like maybe you're handling a situation a little bit differently than you would have before. And sometimes other things that can happen in conjunction with this practice. The right book suddenly coming into your right hand, finding the right YouTube video, the right person coming along who can teach you something as well. The possibilities are endless. So I invite you now to take another deep and clearing breath. Bring the palms of your hands together at your heart center. Take a moment to silently thank the Divine Mother for her presence, knowing she's with you always. And then take a moment to give gratitude to yourself for taking part in this practice, and know that you can do this whenever you whenever you wish, and I highly encourage you to practice this. And then just slowly open your eyes, keeping a relaxed gaze. And namaste. Blessings always. Thank you so very much for joining me. And Jai Ma. Jai Ma. Jai Ma. So I'm going to conclude with one last quote. Hamsa, the great mantra of enchantment, eternally shines bright and protects against decay. It penetrates the center of the universe. It is the Shakti of the all-pervading vibration. And this is from the tantric work, Tantra Loka, which means light on the tantras. And it was written by the 11th century sage Abhinavagupta. And Abhinava himself was a follower of the Trika tradition. So again, I thank you very much. Hope you enjoyed this. As always, you have questions, you want to share anything from your experiences, please feel free to email me at aumcdevi, that's AUMCdevi, DEVI, at gmail.com. And just to make sure you have access to a commercial-free version of this video, if you want to use it as a guided meditation again, begin to look for it on the temple Facebook page. That is the temple Facebook page for Tridevi, Tridevi, Chamunda, Chamunda, Mandir, Mandir. So thank you again so very much. And I look forward to you joining me on Friday for our puja and satsang to Ma Vritti, the sixth of the yoginis. And until then, have a wonderful night and a wonderful couple of days ahead. And Jai Ma. Jai Ma. Jai Mata Di. Good night.